made a few videos a year ago, but those videos are just live coding sessions without commentary. So this time I'm just trying to do a live coding, but I will try to talk through the steps that I'm making. So let's get started. Well, the first thing we're gonna do, uh, actually, we create a new shell here. So the first thing we're gonna do is to install Django and the other dependencies. Okay, it's gonna be Django whiteboard. So I like to use poetry to manage the dependencies. Okay, just sorry, no. What? Okay, let's do it again. Okay. This is nope. Yes. Okay. So poetry will manage our virtual environment and allows us to add dependencies. Django extension, why not? Okay. Well, I guess the first step is just to create the project. Okay, got a project. Okay, let's create an app here. Okay. Yes, I trust. Okay, cool. So the first thing we're gonna do is define the models. Or actually, how about just setting up like the whole project skeleton first, right? Including the front end and stuff. Let's do that. npm cool. Okay, npm install. I'll put npm 7. It doesn't matter. Npm init -y. Okay. Install. I know I'm going to need. I don't need anything really. I just need a bundler to build the files to basically transpile TypeScript to JavaScript. I use parcel bundler 2. Yeah. This laptop is kind of slow, so let's give it a minute. Meanwhile, let's create the the folder structures, right? And change the package JSON a little bit, maybe. I think there's something I can copy. Use watch here. Right. Something like that. ts. I also need to specify the list dir, the output folder basically. Build web. Okay, it's done. Let's create a file here. Let's do a console log. Works. Okay. Cool. Let's try this. Does not exist. Right, because this should be .ts. Okay, seems to be working, although it's not, like the output folder is not correct. But I think this have to become before the file you're building, right? Let's try it. Remove that. Wait, do not ask me again. Still. Well, that's weird. What about now? What if I remove the cache? I don't know. Oh, there is a build folder. Oh, it's here. Okay, now it works. I don't know why. Just a map. Okay. Okay, cool. Now I just need to make Django serve this this file, this index file here. The way I usually do this is in the settings file. I add the static file directories. Here. Just add here. Web. Okay, cool. And this is new. It's default auto field. Okay, now I need to create a test view. Preview. Just return render. Actually, okay, now it's better. I think I increased the font size a little bit. Like that. That's better. Okay, so the template file, I just call it index.html for now. No, the first one should be request. Right. And just do that. String. Okay, it's fine. Let's create the template first, actually. It's gonna be inside of here. I'm not sure how we can configure that. Okay, let's go find a template. Base HTML5 template. Okay, I think it's like down below here. Right. And just remove all that stuff. This one might be useful in the future, so I keep that. So here in Django, I think I need to load static and then like load. Okay, that, I guess. And script should be something like that. Static web index.js. Okay, cool. Let's try it. Actually, let me create a new session here. Do I need to migrate? I guess it doesn't really matter, but just do it. Okay. Template does not exist. It's not too surprising. I just add it here. Slash Django whiteboard slash templates. That should work. Okay, that works. Just trying to see if that okay. Great. That's the first step. Now, let's try to get the a basic canvas working, right? Because eventually people will need a place to draw their stuff, and even we build our backend, we need a place to test it. So in this case, it makes sense to do the front end first. Just here. I just create a class here to represent a board, and the board should take a HTML element, actually HTML canvas element, right? There's a shortcut for that. Just make it something like that. Actually, let's create just trying to think if it makes sense to accept one or just create one and inject it into the DOM. It doesn't really matter, right? I think. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Just to do a proof of concept. So this board now has an element, which is a canvas element. It needs to handle our mouse events. So we need to attach some sort of event listeners to it. And the thing that we draw on the board is going to be stored somewhere inside this board. So I think we'll just store it inside here. Objects. Let's call it objects. Draw objects, which doesn't exist yet, but it will be. And we define the type object is singular. It should really just be a union, I think, right? Because people could try to draw a line, a straight line, which is represented by 2 points, or a path. A path is just like a series of points that are connected by straight lines, or they could be a triangle or something, right? Or a circle. Circle is like represented differently. It's not a bunch of points. So to make things simpler, I just like let's just do pass first, right? Maybe a draw path. What about this? I don't know. And it should take a bunch of points. And points will be a list of points. Draw object. For now, it would just be draw path. In the future, there would be like draw circle, things like that. Yeah, but for now, let's just do that first. Cool. And the initial value of that would just be an empty array, I guess. So in this constructor, I don't want to do too much in a constructor, so I just create a new method here called bone. Actually, just don't want to deal with binding and stuff. So here we're gonna add a bunch of event listeners. Add event listener. Mouse down. That's what we need. Method doesn't exist yet, but let's pretend they are here. Mouse up. Mouse up. The other one would be mouse move, I guess. Let's see. It's fired at element when pointing device moved by the cursors. Hotspot is inside it. Yeah, look at that. Exactly, right? Here's the example. It's great. It's great. So anyways, mouse down. Up. smooth. Almost done. We'll I think one thing that's important here is to see if the user is drawing or not. Right? Because you don't want the a line to appear when the user is just casually hovering around over the canvas. So is drawing goes to false initially, yes. And is drawing is that? Yes, it's drawing. Let's say true. Great. And I guess on us mouse up, that's set to false. And the other thing I think we need is to store the current drawing object. Which is optional. Which basically means its drawing is not necessary. Or is it? I guess not. Because if there is a current drawing object, then that means it is the user is trying to draw things, right? So on mouse down, instead of setting its drawing to true, we just initialize the current drawing object. In this case, it would be a, well, right now we only allow a path, right? So the type is always paths for this, for the purpose of just a simple proof of concept. And the path points, rather, would be an empty array. And on mouse up, we want to essentially move the current drawing object into the objects array. So this star objects will push this star current drawing object into this object, and will clear the current drawing object. I don't like undefined. Anyways, okay. And I think this is interesting. This is something we'll need. So I just copy that. And we'll call it draw. Right. So basically, the board will have a list of objects. It will have the current drawing object. But if you don't do anything, nothing is gonna appear on the canvas. So what we're gonna do is, I think over the time this function is gonna be very complicated. But for now, just do the the easiest thing we can do, right? So what's this context then? Get context to the do I need to get it like in 9, or can I just initialize it here? Dot get context. Okay. And context is a, what's the type? Canvas rendering context 2D. Okay, that works. And if I do context equals to bits.context, move to line to, I guess it's just like the first, sorry, draw a line, right? It's like xy is the first point of the path. So I guess we need a function called draw object, which takes a draw object. And in this case, we only have the path. Like the only type we have is path. Call this the draw and pass the object to it. And let's start draw path. No. Draw path should be, so the type of this would just be draw path. The name is not great because draw object is like sounds like a verb, right? It's a change it. Drawing objects. I don't know. How about just object? Anyways, I worry about it later. OBJ. Right. Okay. So what this is gonna do is do this part, I guess. Black. Just do that. So here we need to get the first point. I think there are better ways to do it, but I'm just gonna do the simple, the easiest thing. Path to points first. So I need to check if the points is empty or not, right? If then I can just return. Should check it here. Right. This slice. This slice actually create a new array. It's not going to be very efficient though. Yeah, but let's just do it for now. And 4.4 of point of rest. That should do it. Actually, let's just give it a try first, right? Create a new board. New. Did it take anything? Oh, it needs an element. Really doesn't matter. Just create it here. The ID equals. No, it's gonna be a canvas. What else does a canvas need? Like size? No. Canvas element. Yep. Oh, it has a default size. That's interesting. Just make it 300 by 300. Okay. So the element here is going to be dot get element by ID. It's going to take an element, right? Because, well, is HTML canvas. Okay, that should do it. Board dot draw objects. No. Sorry, what's it called? Objects. Right. Objects equals to just create a whatever path here, right? Type. It's gonna be path and points. It's gonna be, let's look at that. It's 300 by 300. So how about 100, 100, and 100 and 200. 100 and 200, 200 and 200. Sorry. X is, anyways, I just do that. See what happens. Board. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not running. It's fine. Just do Django white here. Well, start. Okay. Here's nothing. Oh, because this run doesn't even try to draw the object. So here, for off. See if it works. Okay, good. So I guess it went from here to here and to here. Okay, so that's something. I remember there's a thing, which is we need to clear the canvas. Clear. Nah. Well, we'll worry about it later. Now let's focus on allowing the user to add path. Here. Right. Okay, so mouse down. And I guess the first event. Event. See. Client X, client Y, I guess. Client X, page Y. Screen X, screen Y. What is the difference? Client Y is that. Oh, interesting. So I guess that's not the actual size we want to use because we want to get the size relative to our canvas element, right? So I guess like what kind of X doesn't really matter as long as it's consistent between the how we get the element position versus the element position, the event position. Client, right? Yeah, because it's called client rectangular, so I guess it's implies client X and Y. No. Oh. Right. Okay. Let's just save it here. I think down the line, if we want to allow users to room in and room out, zoom in or zoom out, I guess it's gonna be more complicated. But for now, let's just do this. It's just a point. So the actual X will be event client X minus first point. And here in on mouse move, we can just copy that. Don't know why I'm doing that works. Okay. And this current, if there's no current join object, then just return. Otherwise, we also need to detect if we're drawing a path or something else. Start push XY. Right, that should work. One more thing. In this draw function, we also need to draw the current join object. And on mouth up, we should record the last point, right? Actually, let's try this. Let's try if this works. Where's our element? No. I guess just add a style here. So canvas. Oh, okay, so that's not working. Great. Can I change the background here? Just do that. Or it's just my screen. Okay, that's more clear. So apparently this is not working. Mouse down. Let's try to log it out. See if it actually triggers. Oh, right, because it's not trying to draw, right? It calls draw once, but it's not in a loop. We need to do it in a loop. How about we just call this draw here, right? Same thing here. Okay, that's something. Great. I don't know if this is like, yeah, I think the performance might not be the best, but it works for now. The other thing I want to do is I want to clear the drawing pad or the canvas. There's a way to do it. Okay, so that's great. Just call it here. Context. Width and height. Width and height. Okay. Again, this is not very performant. But it'll do for now. Okay, great. We can. Oh, yeah. I guess we need to add a mouse out or something. Mouse leave. Now it's gonna just be the same as on mouse up. So if I go out, it's finished. Okay. Oh, that's not good. What happened here? It's undefined. Sorry, what? Draw object. So it's called here and here. Let's try if we can reproduce this. Okay, great. We add a breakpoint here. Or rather, I think there's a thing to pause on exceptions. Yes. Clear that. great. Now I just want to access this. So this, the objects, is clearly not great because it has undefined in it. And I think the undefined comes from here. Right, because on mouse up, we need to check. Right, otherwise there's no point doing that, right? Okay, that seems to be working. Great, so that's good, but we haven't touched any Django stuff yet. So next step would be doing things on Django. But first, because we are planning to do a collaborative whiteboard, we need to add WebSocket support. And in Django, to do that, you need channels. You don't actually need channels, right? You can write your own raw ASCII stuff, but channels is just easier because it handles some of the built-in Django stuff like authentication and sessions, some kind of, and some other stuff. But okay, let's take a look at this installation, which is called channels. Okay, great. Channels. It's gonna take a while. While it's doing that, I just do all the steps here. Oh. The CPU goes 100% now. Okay. Whiteboard, which is our own project here. Okay. I replace the ASCII file with this channels one. I think it's just because the Python extension is not working right. Really like this. Okay, I guess that's working. Set your ASCII application settings to point to that. Okay. Okay. See if it works. You have not set ASCII. Okay, now it's instead of the built-in Django Whiskey server, it's running ASCII now. But that doesn't mean we have WebSocket. We'll need to do something here, I guess. WebSocket. I guess in routing. Yeah. I just grab that one. Application. Right. Just grab that one. And remove all that. I do want authentication. Okay. Chat consumer, I don't need those. Not auth. URL router and URL. So obviously we don't have this public chat consumer, so we'll create one with a different name, of course. Consumer. Generic consumers. Async JSON WebSocket. This sounds promising. Should I put it here or here? I put it here. Okay, not HTTP. So where's the? I guess. Oh, here. I need some code to copy. Well, I guess I just copied that first. Async. I need to do a subclass. So the methods we need to implement will be receive JSON and send JSON. I don't need to do that, right? I just need to implement this one. How does it handle the initial connect? So okay, connect, accept. Right, self the connect, but I need to override this one and exceptions. Okay. Yeah, anyways, I just need to, oops, just need to accept it right now because we don't have any users yet. Just accept all the connections. Okay. Although it would be useful to know which board is this connection to, right? In the future, we want to do something like a multiplex, but for now, we just do one connection per board. So I guess we need a board ID. Is this the right format? I don't know. Board ID dash D plus backslash D plus. We'll see. Whiteboard. this one? Oh, cool. Cool. So the consumer is an actual ASCII server, ASCII application, which means we can do a lot of composable stuff in the future. Okay. Our computer is struggling. So here we also need a board ID, I guess. How about if we just tie it to the current URL? No. Just do something hacky here. Board ID. And this ID will be the Django ID. Just string. Maybe we'll want to do usual ID or something like that. And it's gonna connect via WebSocket. So this dot needs a socket. Just do it here. URL. The URL will be board/board ID. The question is, we need to find the scheme of the protocol of the current URL. Scheme, no, protocol, and that's it's a string. I need to know exactly what it is. Okay. If it's HTTP, then I do WS. Otherwise, yes. And this is gonna be can I just do that? I don't know. I guess not. Not sure. One, just give it one. Yeah. Let's do this. Can't establish. Oh yeah, I guess I cannot do that. So I need to get the current host. The host. Yeah. Okay. Great. Now we have a WebSocket. We have a WebSocket connection. Can I see the frames? That sucks. Is it because we don't have any messages yet? Do wait self.send JSON. Hi. Okay. Oh, it's here. Okay, that's great. So we can see like what messages are actually being exchanged. Cool. And what's the URL here? It says board 1, right? So now here I need to somehow get the which board it is trying to connect. Set the scope. Let's see what's inside the scope. Or set the URL location parameters query. No, I just print this out and see what's inside of it. Okay, so user stat URL route. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Route. Quads. Okay. I think the first thing to do is to allow the, now we need to do something that's actually Django. Because when the user first tries to connect to the server should send the user, the client, the existing state of the board. So we just do that. We need to create the models first. We'll try to map the backend with the same types from the front end. So board, I guess. It doesn't really have to have any fields other than the ID for now. Board object. Yeah, I should just call it board object. Let me change this first. Change this first. Now, this one just need to have type, right? That should be model star. It should have a selection. It's model star text choice. X lanes 16. And data would just be I guess it's just gonna be a JSON field, right? Because it's more flexible and yeah, it serves the purpose. Right. think that's it for now. We will need to add a lot of things in the future. Like if we want to actually like resolve conflicts, if the two user tries to manipulate the same object, that's going to require some more work. But for now, I think this will do. Just need to serialize it so that we can send it to the front end. Jeez. I don't know. I guess depending on the type, the format of data will be different. So I guess we just hard code all the logic here. Dot path. Oh, this is too much. Upward object type dot path. Then, so first we have type, right? Which is be self dot type, a string version of that. And if the type is path, then what we need is the data will be points. Well, actually, we just data would just be still be data, right? Why not just do this? Type. It may not be sufficient in the future, but for now, I think this will work. Self data. Right? Now, let's create some test data and try to send it to front end. But before that, we need to know the backend needs to tell the front end which port you are trying to connect to. To do that, one thing we could do is we can just we have this simple view function here, right? What if we just do b slash, what's the format here? Django. Pass looks like that. So it's just gonna be integer ID. I think it defaults to 1 or something like that. ID equals to 1 or whatever, it doesn't matter for now. So we have this we have ID here, and we just pass that straight into the context. To be more specific, more explicit. So now here we will have, actually we can just read it from the, anyways, I'll just do it here. I was gonna say we can just read it from the URL. That's probably not worth the effort right now. So we just do window dot equals to port ID. Let's see if this works. Nothing is run, so that's good. And we have port ID here. I would like it to be a string. It doesn't really matter. Let's make it a string. And here, instead of hard coding the 1 here, just do window dot port ID, which doesn't exist. So I think if I just add a d.ts file, d.ts file here, it'll actually allow me to add it. to declare it. Do string. Nope, I was wrong. Okay. Script extend window. Declare global interface window. Can what? I guess something like that. No. Well, I guess that's one way to do it, but anyways, just ignore it for now. Yeah, it's good for now. And here, instead of hard coding 1 here, we will actually use this port ID, which should be spelled as port ID. Okay. Is it connecting? It is not. Oh, because things like that. That should connect to port 1. Okay, great. So what was it connecting before? Oh, right, because it defaults to 1. Right, forgot. Also, why this should be a string, right? Not that it really matters, but oh, it's cache. Okay. So let's create a test object. We need to make a migration first. And I'd like to use, what's it called? Because I just get tired of importing all the stuff. So I like to use Django extensions. That works. Okay. So this allows me to do shell plus, where I can just use port. I don't need to import it again. Dot. I need to apply the migrations. Just to make my life easier. Okay, great. Objects. Okay. And the path, whiteboard object dot create dot objects dot create type to path, and data equals to points. And the points would just be 100, 100, 200, 200. I guess it's 200, 100. Not sure. Okay. So pass is that. Now, if I do pass dot to JSON, great, that's exactly what we want. We can add, I guess, to JSON here, right? We just do, what should we do? Objects, and just do a for loop. Doesn't have to be that complicated. Self the objects. Oh no, it should. Oh right, objects is the right, it's the manager method. Guess that's better. But yeah, we're missing a very important thing here. It needs to have a foreign key to board. That was stupid. Unveil it. Star cascade. Related name would be objects. Okay, I just nuked the database. Okay. Yeah, I just nuked the database. And I remove the migration, so I'll start fresh. So that's easier. Okay. Make migrations. I try to create everything again. Or equals to, oh, I don't have history. Oh, b equals to that. And paths will be that's gonna throw an error, which is good because it has a board now. Right, great. So board dot to JSON is not iterable, right? Here. Object dot first a dot to JSON. Great, we have a pass object here. So I guess the next thing obviously will be when the user connects to the board, we send the initial data to the client, right? The send initial data self. We need to access the database here. However, because Django's ORM is not async friendly, so we'll need to use a decorator called database sync to async. Channels dot users. Not sure. DB. Right. This one here. So okay, so when the user connects, we'll send the initial data. Okay, let's see if we get it here. Response. Yeah, great. Now we have the data here. Now we just need to populate that data into our front end, right? We need to add some socket listeners. Message event. Not sure. It doesn't matter. We'll break that out. Add event listener. Socket event map. It is message event. Okay. So is inside the event. Type. I think the data is a string here. We'll see. We just try to parse it. Parse. Look it up. Yeah, great. So we'll get our initial data here. I would like to add some type to our WebSocket messages. Does it look like data is a object. It's objects and then what object? Right. Okay. Okay, cool. Now when we have this message, what we can do is we can populate the fields. Because it's an initial message, right? We need to do something here. Hello.type. Hey, that works. That's great. Okay, now I think for today, the next thing we're going to do is to allow the client to send data to the backend. To do that, we need a method here. Maybe send. we just create the method first and then figure out what it should actually do. Okay. I need to think about this. I mean, for the simplest thing we can do is just to send a message, right? It's the socket send JSON.stringify. Object. And the data be object. Join object. Right, that's the simplest thing we can do. If we don't want to care about, say, I think it's fine. If we don't want to care about like disconnections or like network issues, I think like for today, this is good enough. Now, when do we call this? We should call it mouse up. This dot send board object. Something like that. The backend is not gonna respond to it because it's not designed to handle that yet. But we can see if we're actually sending the message or not. Okay, it is trying to send a message. Which is good, I guess. It's on the backend. The backend we need to handle the message content. The content will just look like this. Okay. So we can see message type goes to content. If message type is add object, then we get the actual object. That is let's just do object. Object is a keyword. Object data equals to content data object. Yeah, and object type. If we just do similar thing here, right? Instead of get board data, we can see add object. Dot board object dot JSON board ID and object data. So dot board ID. Right. We need to add this from JSON function. It's a class function. We could copy. I think it's a good habit to always make a copy before you mutate something, especially when this message might be used somewhere else, although it's not very efficient. I think that's the right format. Okay, let's see if that works. Add object. And let's send a message to say that, just to say okay, just to acknowledge. Which isn't that important here. Okay, it says okay, which is great. Now if I refresh that, you can see like the new path is being persisted in the database. Well, so I guess that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll try to tackle some of the collaborative part of this project. Because right now, if you're just one person trying to draw stuff, it's fine. Connection closed. Yeah, and we also need to figure out how to tackle those situations. And we'll need to make sure, and I think the client deserves to know if the object I'm being drawn is being sent to the server and is persisted in the database or not. So it's some kind of loading indicator. Would be great. But I think that's it for today.